Have you ever thought about which corner the DVD symbol is going to hit, and which is the most satisfying for it to hit? Even though it never really hits any of the true corners, I do think that the bottom left corner or the bottom left area is the best part whenever the DVD symbol hits over there. Hello, everybody. I hope that totally didn't age me. This is That Manga Dude, and today we are doing another F.V.I. That is the show, the first volume impressions, where I talk about a first volume, or I guess nowadays a variety of first volumes, and then I give you my opinions, my review of them, and then I rank them against each other. Even though most of the time it's really impossible to rank because they're usually a variety of genres and demographics and really hard to compare. So it's actually kind of fun to do it at the end. It's mostly by how much I enjoyed it versus how much better or whatever gooder than they are compared to each other. So yeah, we got 3 volumes to go over today. 2 joseis and an autobiographical manga. It's gonna be a fun one. Let's get going. Let's get started. Let's go. Okay, let's get started right away. So, our first volume is a volume that actually just recently came out on February 14th, 2023, also known as Valentine's Day here in the United States of America, and I don't know, maybe some other countries. But really excited to talk about this one. This one was something I was actually very, very curious about, and it is The Girl That Can't Get a Girlfriend by Mieri Hiranishi. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. But from what I can tell, this originally started or was originally published online. The first chapter was on Webtoons. It says March 31st, 2020. I'm not sure if that was if it was published before or if it was uploaded before, but that was what I could find. So I'm gonna say that was the first chapter. But like I said, this released February 14th, 2023. And just to get some of the background done, lettering is by Joanna Estep, cover and interior design by Jimmy Presler, and editors are Julia Patrick and Mayuko Hiado. So, this is an interesting autobiographical series following the story of Mieri Hiranishi, and her difficulty with finding a girlfriend that's right for her. And boy golly, it has a pretty crazy story, at least pretty crazy story. I'm not sure how much of it is fiction, but I'm assuming that a good 99% of it is fact for the most part. It's very funny, but also very sad in some situations, and it feels very real, very raw. And that's what I really do enjoy about autobiographical manga, is when the mangaka really puts themselves out there, and Mieri Hiranishi really does that in this series, in a very comedic way for the most part. She really shows just how difficult it is, or what her tastes are versus reality. And it's like a nice mix of comedy and drama, comedy and kind of realism and realistic interpretations of emotions, feelings for people, and just a variety of stuff. So overall, the writing is very good. Can't really comment on a story or whatever because this is her life. So I mean, I don't want to be oh, story's bad or whatever. But it is a very enjoyable read in terms of the writing. So yeah, very good start. Now, in terms of the art, I love the juxtaposition between Mieri's character art for herself, which is just very simple, most of the time just a circle head, with not a whole lot going in terms of detail, very simplified, versus everybody else in the series, which tends to have a lot more detail, tends to have more of a stylistic face, and I just find that to be very enjoyable and very funny. We do get some amazing facial expressions, and I don't want to spoil it too much because of course like I said, there is a lot to check out and read, and the narrative is whoa, that gets a little crazy, but just believe me when I say that you're gonna love the facial expressions, regardless if you like autobiographical series. Woo! That is a mouthful, that's a big word. I'm struggling to say it. So, overall, this is a really fun read. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. It was super fun. I loved hearing she's writing style and the jump, like I said, the jump between comedy and that realistic, sad kind of actually pouring out your feelings and stuff like that. And that also applies for the art as well. So overall, this is a great read. I didn't even get to talk about the cover and the spine, which is usually what I talk about, and I've been forgetting to do it in my F.V.Is. What have I become? But yeah, this is a great cover. This cover is absolutely hilarious, and I love like the rainbow like background, and like I love the font that they used for the cover, and like the title, excuse me. And then the spine is really great too. You get like her character face over here, and this is a Viz original, and I don't know why they decided to name this. My only guess is that because this is Hiranishi's like direct work, and that she didn't have it published like within a magazine or anything. So technically, it's her own work that she coordinated / worked with Viz. So that's why it's a Viz original versus like, oh, this is just Viz Media publishing something from Japan, or like publishing something from like Weekly Shonen Jump or something like that. So that's my only guess. Totally don't know, but. Also, a very, very comedic back cover, just a hilarious picture about stuff that goes on, and then this really, really hilarious little skull. It's just me waiting for my future wife. So like I mentioned, yeah, writing's great, the cover, the spine is a great seller point, and yeah, overall, just a very, very good volume. Okay, our next series is a Josei series. I didn't even know this was a Josei. This is shows how much I really like research anything, but it's also really fun to research stuff for the F.V.I. because I learned stuff that I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that was insert thing here. But this is a Josei series that originally came out in 2006. This series is old as heck, but it took forever to come to the US, and I'll kind of explain why when I talk about the story and the writing, but I'm really, really glad that it's here, and that is Polar Bear Cafe. So this also came out in February of 2023 here in the US, but in Japanese, it originally published, like I said, in 2006 in a magazine called Flowers, which is a Josei magazine. And yeah, really, really excited to have this here. But let me talk about the cover, because this cover is so adorable. Look at this giant polar bear. He's so cute. He's absolutely adorable. And I just love it so much. I love the font, once again, that they use for the title. I really just love the fonts that they always use for titles, like for the most part. They're always really nice, really cute. And then, you know, some of them are very iconic, whatever. But yeah, I just very much enjoy seeing that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is a great front cover. It's a really pretty like spine, because it's just basically the art that goes over to the back. Looks gorgeous, and the back cover of course looks amazing as well. This is a remarkable absolutely remarkable print. Seven Seas really killed it with the English print. Now let me talk about some of the people who worked on it. So in terms of translation, we got ourselves Michelle Timon. Lettering is by Krista Meisner. Cover design is by HT, I think it's how you say their name. Proofreader Danielle King, copy editor Leanna DeRowan, and editor Linda Lombardi. All right. That was a big mouthful, and I always have a hard time with names, so I really apologize if I butchered them. I just want to, of course, I always want to give credit to the people who worked on this, because without them, we would not have this series in English. So, yeah. So, original series, story and art is by Aloha Higa, and yeah, let's talk about the characters. So, we got ourselves two characters I'm going to talk about. They're really, like, a ton of characters that come into the series, but I really only want to talk about two of them, just so you guys have like an idea of who like the main characters are, like the ones you see the most. So of course our main character is Polar Bear. And Polar Bear is basically like a super chill guy, and I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, I kind of do, but I kind of don't, because he's very relaxed, very much like owns his cafe, loves running his cafe, and uses a lot of puns. His puns are absolutely hilarious, and yeah, he's just a really fun character to watch and just pay attention to. Has like a really nice backstory, I would say, that you can't tell if it's like true or not, and then like we get a bunch of like more information about him. But overall, he's just very caring for others, and I really do appreciate that. As a person who is reading this series, very much enjoy Polar Bear's character. He's very fun. And that's, I think, what I'm going to mention about the puns. So the puns are all in Japanese. So, like, a lot of the jokes that are made in terms of like the puns that he uses throughout the series are all like Japanese puns where like they basically just use words that are very similar to one another. And the translation is done really well. It's done really amazing for all of these where like they give you the context of the joke in both English and in Japanese. So you get to see where the pun originally came from. So it's not just like a really funny like smattering of like weird situations. They actually give you like context as to what the pun was and why it's connected to the original statement. So it's really fun. It's really great. I just really wanted to mention that because Polar Bear is like the one who uses the most puns throughout the series, or like uses. It's hard to explain because technically he's like just doing it and people are saying the pun for him. But overall, Polar Bear is a great character. Second character I'm going to talk about is Panda, and Panda is a panda. He is a very lazy character, but also like he's like such a weird character because like he's very like relaxed, but also just like kind of lazy, very entertaining, likes to make jokes. A lot of people don't take him very seriously, but yeah, he's just very funny, very curious. And a lot of people like talk to him because yeah, he's just a weird guy. He's just a weird little dude. But I really like his like chemistry with some of the other characters, including Polar Bear, another character named Penguin as well. So yeah, it's just really fun. I really like the series a lot. Like, or at least I like these characters a lot. The characters are all very, very fun. They're all very well written as well. Like, it's just a very enjoyable time. I really, really do enjoy the characters a lot. Now, in terms of the story's pretty straightforward. It's in the name. It's a polar bear. He owns a cafe. That's basically the main plot, if you want to call it that. But basically, it's just like the life and times and antics of these animal characters as they live in an animal human hybrid world. It's very weird. It's very bizarre because like these characters, like they talk and stuff like that, and they like will walk around and people will be like, oh my gosh, look, it's an animal in like real life, and everyone will start like freaking out, but all the animals don't seem to give a care, and like there's no like animal control or anything, so it's very bizarre. And there's also like a zoo too, so like the animals work there. It's weird. But it's super funny. The writing is stupendous. Like I mentioned before, the puns are very well written for both the Japanese and for the English translation as well. You'll get a lot of laughs out of it, and it's a really fun, like smooth read is I think the best way to put it, because it's not like super word heavy. There's not like a lot of crazy intense like thought provoking, a lot of like, I don't know, there's not a lot of requirement for having to think about a bunch of things. Like, yeah, it does bring up some like nice little themes here and there about certain characters, and honestly, like I learned a lot about random pointless facts about animals, so that's pretty cool too. Can always appreciate a semi-scientifically correct, I guess, series in a way. But yeah, very much a very enjoyable story and really, really amazing writing. It's done very well. Now, the art is absolutely lovely. So I'm just gonna flip to like the front page. A lot of the animals are drawn almost like basically accurate, but also kind of like stylized in a way. Like Panda very much looks like a panda, like he's a panda. Polar Bear for the most part looks like a polar bear, of course with like some less exaggerated parts of his body. Overall the art is great, it's very lovely. I very much enjoy like how these characters are basically extremely realistic to a point, and it's used almost like a joke in a way, because like all of the human characters are very much stylized like typical anime characters, so to see these like very much just animal characters walking around doing weird stuff, it's great, it's lovely, it's so funny. The art works perfectly with the writing and with the story. It's just an overall very enjoyable read, and like I think you're gonna see that with this specific crop of volumes. But I pretty much enjoyed everything I read for this F.V.I. So it's gonna be really hard at the end to talk about which one I think is my favorite. So yeah, this is overall a very fantastic read. I think it's definitely worth a pickup for just about anybody, really. It's a good slice of life series. It's a good like not necessarily coming of age, I guess it's just slice of life. But yeah, if you want like a really goofy, weird, funny series, I would say definitely pick this up. Alright, so the last volume we're going to be talking about today is a big chunky boy. So this series originally released in a magazine called You, which is another Josei magazine, back all the way back in 2013, and now in February of 2023, we do get an official English print release, and that is for this lovely volume, and that is Mermaid Scales and The Town of Sand by Yoko Komori. So, going to talk about some of the people who worked on this real quick. We have a translation by JN Productions. We have an English adaptation / editor is Annette Roman. Thank you. Excuse me. Touch-up art and lettering by Suzanne Digel Leach. And cover and interior design by Yukiko Whitley. Woo! Alright. Oh man. Some of these names just very difficult for me. I gotta admit. But let's talk about this cover. This is probably my favorite out of the three covers, and it's really not hard to see why. It's a very gorgeous cover. This video is not doing it justice, but it's very beautiful. It has this nice watercolor style to it. The line art is gorgeous. This whole thing is just absolutely beautiful. The spine is also very gorgeous, and the back also very gorgeous. I don't know. There's something about watercolor that's done by Japanese mangaka. Always looks really nice. I very much enjoy a lot of the watercolor pieces that they do, or at least the watercolor looking pieces that they do, because it is absolutely gorgeous. So let's go into the characters. I'm only going to talk about one character because she is the main character, and that is Tokiko, and she's here on the front. She's a young girl who's unexpectedly thrown into basically a whole entirely different world after there is a split between her mother and her father. Her father ends up taking her to this oceanside town to live with her grandmother. So her character is very curious, but also very quiet, very much sheltered into herself, because she's basically stripped from her original life and brought into this new one that she didn't necessarily ask for. And you can definitely tell by her character's actions throughout the series. But she really does grow, and she really does begin to love the people around her and all this stuff. And she's overall just a great character. I mean, across the board, she's exactly what you'd expect for a 10-year-old to be when she's basically thrown into another world. So she's awesome. She's really great. She's really easy to root for too, because I don't know, just some of the stuff that's happened to her that you learn throughout the story. It's just it's really sad. So you're really excited and really happy to see her be happy with her friends, with her family. I don't know, it's really lovely. So, talk about the story. I kind of already talked about it in terms of talking about the characters, but basically, Yukiko's parents split, they break up, and her dad takes her to her grandma's place to live with her for a bit, until they can find their own place on this oceanside town. She comes from Tokyo, so she's going from the largest city in the world to this very, 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 very small town in on the ocean side that celebrates this festival and stuff like that. And there's supposedly mermaids and stuff like that live in this ocean here or live near here. So yeah, it's all part of this mystery, this mythos that's been talking about throughout the city. There's a lot of characters who are very lovely, very fun. You get to basically see her life for the next couple of weeks as they proceed to do all these things. She enjoys her friends and gets to meet all these new people, and you get to meet a lot of the people around the city and around the town, and they're all really fun. They're all really well written. Every character is actually fairly well intertwined within the story, so it feels very whole. All of the characters are very enjoyable, and they really play important parts throughout the story in terms of pushing a narrative forward for are the mermaids real and stuff like that, and what is the Watatsumi Festival, which I won't explain because it's something that goes on within the series or within this volume, so you just have to check it out. But basically the Watatsumi Festival is a special celebration of the ocean festival. I think that's as much as I'm going to go into detail about it, but let's just say it plays in a very, very, very important part in the story, so yeah. But overall, I really, really enjoy this story. I think the writing is stupendous, because you get a lot of these really quiet moments between Tokiko and just kind of herself, and then or with one other person or two other people, and it really, really helps you to connect with these characters, with this world, with this small town. I don't know. There's something that's just really great about it and very whimsical. You should definitely check it out if you like those kinds of like slice of life and coming of age stories, because this is lovely. And that's not even talking about the art, which is my favorite part of this series. The art is gorgeous. It is like remarkably detailed when it wants to be, and very simple when it also wants to be. A lot of the character designs are very nice to look at, very simple, like I said. But character expressions are not lost within this simple expressions. We get a lot of like emotion through these characters, and like a lot of very solid environmental storytelling, I would say. A lot of very beautiful like environments across the board. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of really nice like emotional moments that are drawn very well. The paneling is really fun, very enjoyable. Overall, this is a fantastic volume. I'm really happy that the Viz brought this over to the English. And I had never even heard of this. Like, I hadn't even heard of Yoko Komori, but I'm really hoping they bring more Yoko Komori work over to English, because this was a remarkable volume. I'd say check this out, like I said, if you are into any kind of slice of life, any kind of mystery series, any kind of coming of age story, because this is very lovely. It's very well done, and I think you will very much enjoy it. It's a pretty fast read too, considering how big it is. I think I finished this like in a day because I was just so engrossed with the story. So hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do if you decide to pick it up. Okay, let's get into ranking these 3 volumes, and it's like this is probably going to be the hardest one I have to rank, because like I loved all of these, and for completely different reasons. So in terms of enjoyment, man, I don't know. Okay. So I'm gonna say number 3 is Polar Bear Cafe, and it's like it's impossible for me to say why. Honestly, it is like it's trying to rate like a 9.5, a 9.25, and a 9. But I think Polar Bear Cafe is going to be my third, or my least favorite, even though I still very much love this series, and it's so hard to say why I would put these 2 above them. But I'm gonna put The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend at number 2, and Mermaid Scales in the Town of Sand at number 1. So I will only say I think Mermaid Scales and the Town of Sand only pushes the other 2 out because the art is so gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was very beautiful. Honestly, these are 2 also a very amazing series, but something about Mermaid Scales definitely hit like a part of me. Got me a little emotional towards the end. So I think that definitely played a part in this. But that is not to discount these other 2. These 2 are also remarkable, fantastic. You gotta give them a shot. They are awesome. They're so funny. And this series can also be kind of funny too. Maybe that's also why I put it at the top, because it has like that perfect mix of every kind of emotion, and it's done very well. So that's gonna be it for this episode of the F.V.I. What'd you think of it? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? I would love to know what you think of my reviews, or what you thought about these series. So leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to know, honestly, what everybody else is thinking about these, because yeah, these are all really great, and you really should give them a shot regardless of your tastes across the board, because they're all very amazing. So, you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, and you can subscribe. Those are all wonderful things that you can do. I haven't done this outro in a long time, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring it back, boys. I did not forget. I did forget, but I did not forget about it, like, technically. I did just forget to do it the past couple of videos. So, it is back. You can like, you can comment, and you subscribe. And if you don't decide to do any of those things, you can just keep watching, I guess. Thanks for watching all this this content. It's great, right? Hopefully. You watched like 14 minutes of my voice, so I guess you kind of enjoyed it, I hope. So thank you for that. Honestly, thank you to everybody. We just passed like 750 subscribers, and so we're inching ever closer to my goal of hitting 1,000. Thank you so much for your support. I honestly love it so much. It's so much fun to make videos. It's so much fun to be reading manga and just enjoying it still. Not doing it as a job, almost. Mostly it's just a hobby, mostly just to get my opinions out there. Not to necessarily say that my opinions are better or worse than anybody else's. So thank you for enjoying me talk about this stuff. It honestly means a lot. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!